Welcome. Yet another week trying to live the scripture. Live in the scripture, or live in the scripture more precisely. An act, a verb, an adjective, a life of its own, in which we are getting together to ponder what to do with revelation, what to do with this wisdom that is trying to speak to us in so many ways, in so many languages, in so many levels, from so many perspectives, with so many examples and words and intentions and emotions. How to honor that gift, that approach from the divine, from the infinite, from the noble hearts of pure souls, of enlightened beings. How to embody in a healthy, honest way such content. So today we are gathering one more time, one more day, yet one more attempt. And we'll be reflecting on one verse today from one Subhashita, which is a kind of very short poem with certain analogies that try to evoke a particular attention on a particular simple but powerful teaching. So this one I learned in Vrindavan in India a few years ago. It's a beautiful one, very simple, and I like to relate, as you can see, as you will see, with the third verse of Shikshastakam. Namanti phalino vrikshah, namanti gunino janah. Shushka kashcani murkhas namanti kadachana. So the translation also in poetic terms says, like trees that bow down, full of fruits, the wise are humble, head to boots. Like dried out trees that never bend, the fools are pompous till the end. So such a sweet piece of advice for today and forever, right? And this is a beautiful analogy. I remember the first time that I heard it, it created such an epiphany. It made such an impact on me. Like, okay, on one side you have the analogy of a fruit. When a tree is full of fruits, naturally the branches go down. So naturally, namanti phalino vrikshah. Vrikshah means a tree. Phalino means with phala, with fruit. Namanti is engaging in the act of offering namaskar, of inclining, putting your head to the ground. We will say offering obeisances sometimes, bowing down. So this analogy, a tree which is full of fruits will naturally bow down. In the same way, namanti gunino janah. Janah, those people who have guna, who had good qualities, will bow down similarly. So it's a beautiful analogy that, again, we can right now observe in nature. Nature is such a guru, such a teacher. Again, Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Dev, his famous golden rule will say, Trinada pisunichena taroda pisahishnuna. He's looking at the tree, and in this case, he's seeing, wow, such tolerance, such compassion, such forgiveness. The tree's teaching me. Looking at the grass, wow, such humility. So they are speaking to us. Nature is speaking to us loud enough if we have the ears to hear. So in this particular case, this verse is giving that angle of vision. You can look at the tree, and you can look at the fruits of the tree, and instead of thinking, how can I take those fruits for me? How can I cut the branches to make wood for me? How can I whatever for me? In a separatistic, dualistic spirit, how can I appreciate the lesson that this guru is trying to tell me? How do I stop and listen? Look at the tree, see the fruits, see the heavy loaded branches bowing down, and make that connection. Oh, if I will have inner fruits in my life, fruits of qualities and realization, I will be similarly bowing down. Again, the bowing down doesn't have to happen as a forced external performance out of intimidation or out of whatever, but it has to be the natural outcome, the natural extension of the heavy fruits of love and humility and honor and respect that made me want to bow down and to reality. It may be a bowing down literally, physically, or it may be an internal reverence for all that surrounds me, awe and wonder. It doesn't mean that literally I have to remain the rest of my life in the floor. But yes, that I have to learn to bow down. Jnana prayasa mudapasya namanta eva, Brahma will say in the Bhagavatam. Leave aside all these attempts to understand everything from your neck up through your head, and instead, what to do with your head? Namanta. This verse says namanti. Offer namaskar, namaha, namaste. Not me, not my false self in the center, but the center of reality and me honoring that fact. So the more we have the fruits of wisdom, understanding, realization, and the qualities of humility and honor, amanina, manadina, naturally, the heaviness of those fruits and the sweetness, these are sweet fruits, will take us to bow down like a tree which is full of fruits. Unlike many of these Shubhasitas and many other verses in the scripture, they acknowledge that we need to understand the same lesson from both sides, directly and indirectly. What to do, what not to do. And so the second part of the verse says, shushka kashcani, murkhas, janah, namanti, kadachana. What happened with dried trees who have no fruit, who bear no fruit, which are not bowing down? They never bend, basically. So like we put in our English poetry here, like dried out trees that never bend. The fools are pompous till the end, arrogant, full of themselves, fooling themselves. So in the same way, again, two sides of the equation. A tree full of fruits, it's so heavy laden, so inclined to bow down. And in that bowing down, the fruits are also becoming more accessible to others. So if we are filled with the fruits of inner qualities and we reverence reality, naturally that will extend our own inner fruits to other people, inspiring others to that same way of honoring life. By contrast, and we always need this contrast to go through the what it is not, do's and don'ts, via negativa, via positiva. Dried out trees with no fruits, branches are not bowing down, but are standing up, arrogant, pompous till the end, like we will say. No? In the same way, people who are arrogant, fools, in this case, murkha, that's the word of this verse. Those who are murkha, who are not wise, how you can see someone who is not wise? They are not showing, they do not have a sense of the sacred. Let's put it that way. They don't walk through life with a sense of sacredness, with a sense of honoring and venerating and awe and wonder of the sacredness of reality. In other words, nothing is sacred, probably everything is profane or profanated, desecrated by our lack of vision, because ultimately everything is sacred. But if we don't have the eyes to see, we become the sacred, desecrated. So we walk through life like a murkha, not like a wise person, but like a fool. And a fool is someone basically who sees himself, herself as the center of the universe, self-centered, ego-centered, everything else orbiting around me, everything else below me, everything else in my service. This type of situations which are so actually self-imposed torture. Try to be the center of the whole of reality. Who has the shoulders to bear that load? That's too much. So we have to be self-compassionate with ourselves and remove ourselves from the center, acknowledging who is the actual center. And we orbit around that center with proper awe and reverence, like the tree is teaching us, becoming like this filled with fruits tree, which is bending down naturally, sweetly, and extending its fruits to others. So this is the lesson coming from today's Subhashita, a simple lesson, powerful, direct one that teaches us to learn from nature, to learn from the most important qualities, to see where we are, and to move forward, continue growing our journey. So please be generous as the tree is sharing its fruits. Share your fruits of your reflections and insights of what this verse is evoking in your heart, what is coming inside of you. And let's continue this feast of sharing and reflecting together with one another. See you next week for one more session of Living Scripture.